Hello people, hello. Welcome to today's video. Start off by reading a little verse out of this bad boy and then we'll get right into it. It's not that this is going to pertain to anything I'm really talking about in this particular video, but scripture always pertains to something, today's world and what's going on around you if you just apply it. So we're going to read something and then we're going to move on. Okay, this verse can be found in Matthew chapter 4. Jesus is tested in the wilderness. Then Jesus was led by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. After fasting 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. The tempter came to him and said, "If you are the Son of God, tell the stones to become bread." Jesus answered, "It is written, man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God." Then the devil took him to the holy city and had him stand on the highest point of the temple. "If you are the Son of God," he said, "throw yourself down, for it is written, he will command his angels concerning you, and they will lift you up in their hands, so that you will not strike your foot against a stone." Jesus answered him, "It is also written, do not put the Lord your God to the test." Again the devil took him to a very high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world and their splendor. "All this I will give you," he said, "if you will bow down and worship me." Jesus said to him, "Away from me, Satan, for it is written, worship the Lord your God and serve him only." Then the devil left him. So that's pretty famous verse. Oh, also I got this little microphone. I haven't opened it up yet. I'm probably use it by Wednesday's video. I'm not sure why I haven't used it yet. I kind of just forgot about it, to be honest with you, because I know sometimes my voice is a little bit lower and not in a good way. I've heard often I have like a mumbly voice without even trying, so that's not a good thing. Anyway, especially when it comes to making videos, it's not a good thing. So the first thing I want to talk about is a video I came across. Some kind of local committee or something. I don't know if it has to do with school or something like that. It's some kind of local committee, obviously here in the Democratic stronghold of Pennsylvania. And it describes how this woman is not going to be voting for a certain person because they are, wait for it, cis white male. And you know what's funny about that? Like, how do you know he's a cis white male? And it seems like most of the stuff that she's reading off of her little computer is clearly scripted, and she didn't write it. She probably just, it was a publicity stunt. I mean, it was a headline in the New York Post. So we know it's some kind of publicity stunt, and we know that this is just the way the world's rolling now. Cis white male, I am going to take that now as a slander word. That is a slur. So if you call me a cis white male, I'm going to call you a racist. I don't care if you feel any different way. I'm going to say, that's racist. Don't talk to me, because I know you're a racist. You're racist against cis white males. It's funny because apparently you can't be racist against white people. That's how literally delusional this world is. And also, if you're cis, if you're a straight male or a straight woman, it doesn't matter what race you are, you're automatically in the wrong for that. No longer is it normal to like somebody of the opposite sex. No. Same sex. And if they happen to be opposite sex, it needs to be artificially opposite sex. Okay, we'll get into the video.
I believe that Mr. DeLeo would make an excellent president. However, I feel that electing the only cis white male on this board, president of this district, sends the wrong message to our community. A message that is contrary to what we as a board have been trying to accomplish. I think that it's important that we practice what we preach and that our words have strength when they are spoken, whether we speak them from the neighborhood sidewalks or from behind these tables. Mrs. Steinbeck has done an exemplary job as president these last few months, and the strength of her performance has earned her my vote tonight.
So, as you heard in that video, that individual decides that she's not going to vote for somebody on this board for president because they're a cis white male. Are cis white males ever going to be able to do anything anymore? I think not. You know, and if you think it's bad here, if you think that it's racism against white people that's not real, and that specifically cis white males, that we're just going to get this now, just wait, men of other races. If you don't want to have our backs, or if you don't want to have a Caucasian man back because of the color of his skin, so be it. But I can tell you that they're going to come for you. They're going to come for every single one of you next. You know how I know that? Because it's not just white males that they want to take down. They want to take down all men. This is the obvious agenda. And you know, when I make these videos, I'm not really speaking to these people who are kind of awake to what's going on, because most people know this. I'm hoping this reaches people that really are not in the know, or have just maybe started digging into it or noticed it now. That's who I'm talking to in this message. And it needs to be heard, because if you think that it's just a certain type of male that's going to become for now, it's going to be all men here soon. And then even you women, after it's done with the men, they're going to come for you women that don't want to be non-binary, or don't want to be lesbian, or don't have some kind of weird sexual preference like pansexual or whatever. They're going to come for you as well. If we don't stick together, if we don't start calling it out for what it is, that it is bigotry and racism in its own right, then we're going to have a problem. And this isn't some video where I say I can't stand people that have different sexual preferences that are anything other than heterosexual. If you want to be whatever you want to be, that's fine. Like many people, this is an issue of don't throw it in my face, don't throw it in my children's face, don't be trying to teach my children this, because they don't need to know. If they make that decision on their own naturally, if they come to that conclusion on their own without any outside influences, then that's their own decision, and that's between them and God. If I know that it's being taught to my child, or if it's being influenced on my child, that's when it becomes a problem. Because nobody convinced me to be a straight man. Nobody convinced me of that. Nobody convinced me to like women. I just naturally did that. I naturally came to that conclusion, right? So if it's a natural conclusion, that's something completely different. And I have no say on who somebody is to love, or who somebody prefers to spend their time in their life with. That's completely your business. But that's the point, is you keep it your business. Do I run around pushing heterosexuality on people? No, I don't. Do I go around telling people that they're going to hell for being gay, and that they shouldn't be gay, and that there's something wrong with them if they are gay? No, I don't. Do I want to help people that may be struggling with such things, and do I believe that it is a sin? I absolutely do. I absolutely do, and my beliefs are not going to change, because it's not okay to think that being gay is wrong. Just because something's wrong doesn't mean that you hate that person. That's another thing that needs to be cleared up in this life, is that just because somebody doesn't like what you're doing, or just because somebody doesn't agree with what you're doing, doesn't mean that they hate you. It doesn't mean that they are going to come hurt you. It doesn't mean that they're going to destroy your life. No, that's not what that means. It just means that they simply disagree with you. And people are such babies, such crybabies nowadays. They can't handle it. They can't handle if somebody disagrees with them. They can't handle if somebody doesn't believe what they're saying, doesn't believe in climate change, or doesn't believe in every white person's racist, or doesn't believe that trans women are real women. Get over it. Quit. Like you're not convincing me, right? So I'll go down this path and never change up on my thoughts about it. So people could try and lecture me. I'm not listening to it, because this is what we were called to do, right? This is what us as children of God were called to do, to speak the truth, to not deviate from that truth. We're speaking God's truth, and it is what it is. If your feelings get hurt, that's not a me problem, that's a you problem if your feelings are hurt. Now, do my feelings get hurt sometimes? Obviously, I'm human. But what am I gonna do about it? Like, is it worth the problem? Is it really worth it? And if I do have a problem, then I'll say my piece. And if you have a problem with other people not wanting to be taught about homosexuality at a young age, if you have problems with whatever the case is, then speak your mind about it. Sure, you have that right. You have that God-given right. It's not even just like, it's ridiculous that a government has to write that down into like a constitution or something for people to think it's like a right. It's a God-given right. You can say whatever you want. Say your piece. And at some time, you know, if I think it's a valid conversation that's gonna actually teach me something, or maybe make me look at things differently in another perspective, I'll sit there, I'll listen to you, because I'm always up for intellectually stimulating conversation. You don't get much of it nowadays, and that can come from even somebody that thinks differently than you. So I'm not ignorant to the fact that people that have different views than me could be, you know, right, or have a very good reasoning for the way they feel about something. It's just, you know, we all live and learn. On to another subject. We are going to be talking about how this came out in the news. I think it was the other day. I think it was Sunday it may have came out in the news, or early this morning. I don't know. I was looking for news stories, right? I look for news stories to kind of talk about on these videos. And this was about the fusion, the breakthrough energy that they're going to be testing out, or that they discovered. It says fusion energy is a breakthrough for scientists. Now, I don't know much about energy or nuclear energy or anything of that nature, but I know that this is supposed to be carbon neutral and a net gain energy that they say. So it takes less power to create the power. So it's self-sustaining in some ways is what they're saying. Now, I have no clue about fusion energy. All I know is that if it's man-made energy, that there's always going to be some kind of issue behind it. With any kind of man-made thing, there's a limit. So is this fusion energy actually benign and a good step in the right direction? I don't know, but it seems like most situations nowadays, they're not steps in the right direction, they're actually steps in the wrong direction. All the people that get together and talk about their little plans and what they did with the whole situation, and how they got together with that right before it so conveniently happened. So yes, fusion energy, I believe that it's probably got some kind of reasoning behind why they're going to be pushing this agenda. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be a good thing or a bad thing. I couldn't tell you, but I'm under the belief that there's reasons why there's buildings on this planet that are so structurally complex and we can't recreate them. There's a reason why those are on the earth, and that they harness natural energy. Under the belief that there is lost technology and there is a lost way of going about things in this life and in this realm of reality. If you don't know what I'm talking about natural energy hubs. Things such as pyramids, such as domed buildings, antennas, the whole nine. There's a lot of good information on that on different video making platforms. A lot of good videos on BitChute about it. That's the one I could say 100%, because I don't really look at Rumble. I don't really watch videos on Rumble. I don't really watch or look for too many videos on YouTube. I really mainly look on BitChute because it's the least censored platform for videos that I can find. I do post on Rumble and BitChute, by the way. But I would encourage you to look into Tartaria, the lost technology that may have existed here not even a couple hundred years ago. It's really interesting, and even if it's, you know, not true, or you have your own thoughts about it and think it's complete bullcrap, it's not anything if not at least interesting, because it still sparks your curiosity. If you go into stuff with an open mind and you listen and you actually try to take a step back and look at something and realize that you don't really know the full truth. We don't really know. We haven't lived through all this history. We only know what we're being told. As far as what I've seen, at least in the last 5 or 6 years, what we've been told is complete nonsense. And the more and more I look into history, the more and more I realize that history could easily be manipulated. Our history has already been manipulated. So I encourage people to do their own real research on what has happened in our past and to put your own thoughts on it, because history can be used as a vital weapon. History has been used as a vital weapon. There's been things that we've been told that aren't true. There's been proof of things that we've been told that were supposed to be true and ended up not being true. I would just say for people that are having a hard time, that are hard-headed and like to believe the rigid history that we were taught in our textbooks and in high school, that they aren't true. I know it's hard to believe sometimes, and it's really, like I said in a couple videos back, the truth is a lot more unpleasant. Truth is a lot harder to deal with than a lie. A lie is comforting. A lie is attractive. It's safe. It's easy to work with. The truth sometimes is so much more stranger than fiction. Truth is oftentimes way more unpleasant, way more uncomfortable, and way more unappealing than a lie. Why do you think Satan's the father of lies? Why do you think Satan uses lies to tempt people? In the passage I just read, Satan is lying to Jesus. He's not. He may have followed through on his word of giving him all the kingdoms of the earth, but he was getting something out of that deal. So he was not doing it scot-free, and there's a lie. There's always an underlying reason behind why a liar is doing something for you. Manipulation. Like I said, it's good to look into things for yourself. I mean, I already know in my lifetime I've been lied to about a couple things. 9/11, that was a lie. Not that it didn't happen, obviously. 9/11, those Twin Towers definitely went down. Buildings definitely got hit. And planes definitely hit towers. So that's not a lie. What the United States government has told us about it was a lie. And everything about getting into these wars was a lie. This was never war on terrorism and all these other buzzwords. They were never a reason to go and invade another country's sovereign land. There was no reason to ever invade Afghanistan other than what? Hoard some of the poppy fields into obviously some strategic land ownership. So there is reasons why that happened. Anyway, this video is getting way too long. Last thing I wanted to talk about was how the is coming back into the picture so conveniently. It's obvious that this control mechanism has to be put back onto us because a lot of people forget. I mean, it's so easy. Humans are so easily distracted by things, right? Once we really lost our fear of it, then the powers that be have known that they lost their grip on us. So it's funny because I was reading some of these headlines that I was scrolling through when I was looking for articles to talk about, and I saw some of these headlines that said the Chinese government and Chinese authorities say just be careful, keep yourself safe to keep the spread. Okay, I got a bone to pick with that. The Chinese government, and when it comes to the Chinese government and its people, it does not care. It's looking for some kind of the good cop, bad cop situation. China's trying to gaslight not just its own people, but it's trying to gaslight the world into thinking that they actually care. Anybody with eyes to see knows that China does not care about its citizens, and that it's saying this kind of stuff because they want people to think that what they're doing is for an actual good reason. It's laughable because China is not doing that. China would be the last country to do that. And I don't think there's any single government in the world that has the best interest set out for their citizens. I mean, it's been all taken over by these demons and these satanic worshipers and lovers of Lucifer and unholiness. Those are the people that run all of our countries. Am I saying that every single politician is evil? I mean, I would like to think no, but then again, could I really actually know that for sure? Of course I could. But would I like to think that there's at least a few in there that are human, that have a good heart, and that are doing the best interest for their people and have God on their side? Yes, I would love to believe that. I'm still going to hold on to hope, because there's not much more you can hold on to in this world, especially nowadays. There's not much hope left in this world. It does not mean that you have to give up. It does not mean that you have to be negative. It also doesn't mean that you stop praying and that you're not going to go through adversities. God has told us, if anything, that one of his biggest messages is you will go through trials. And those trials are nothing more than tests to see how strong your faith is in him. I have gone through several trials in my lifetime, and I know I'll go through several more, probably. And a lot of them will be a lot harder than the trials in the past, because every trial, every challenge is met with harder resistance. Yeah, I just thought it was interesting how China seems to be trying to seem like the good guy in the situation after all the protests and stuff pushed back the COVID policies that they had there. So they're like, oh, we were just looking out for their best interests. We hope that you guys know you made the right decision. You guys are going to be responsible, and really hope that you guys know what you're getting into and learn how to do it safely. Shut up, shut up. So such bull crap. I can't even. And also, also on the home front, the United States is going hard. They're going hard on trying to bring the whole coffee cough back, and the whole masky mask back, and thing that goes right here. They're kind of just, they're not going as hard with that, I think, but they are trying to poison our children. They're surprisingly, still just saying the same stuff. The United States is trying to implement this whole situation back. I could say with certainty that any business that may actually try to put this back into place, I will not shop there anymore. And I will not live in fear. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm some kind of rough and tough guy, like I never put a gaiter on or a mask on when I went into a store the first year and a half of this debacle. I did, because I wanted food. I wanted things that I thought I needed in life. I was willing to do that. Towards the end, I live in an area now where people don't really care about that so much. So I stopped, and I already knew in the beginning that it was some kind of thing that they were just pulling to make everybody freak out and be scared. So I never really was scared of the whole situation. I just adjusted accordingly. I kind of went gray and blended in this way. Path of least resistance. I know now that can lead you to temptation, and that can lead you to eternal death, not just regular death, because you're just doing the devil's bidding by feeding into the plan of the corrupt demonic forces. By feeding into that, you're furthering Satan's agenda. I will not be partaking. I am not dealing with this nonsense anymore. It's not legal. It's not legal to institute any kind of mandate where they put something over your face. It's not legal. It's interesting to see how hardly they're trying to push this to come back into the spotlight. And there's people that it's guaranteed that this is gonna ramp up, and people are actually gonna go along with it. We know the American people have lost all their backbone, values, and strength that they were given naturally by God himself, and just been beaten down. They're tired. They want the easiest solution. A lot of people took the easiest solution because it's easier than being ridiculed or thought of as a conspiracy theorist or a Christian extremist or whatever, a white supremacist, whatever you want to insert woke term here. It's so funny how these things are playing out. Anyway, I think I'm reaching the end of this video. Thank anyone who stayed and watched, anyone who actually gets any kind of positive message from this, because that is all I'm trying to do, is send positive messages. I'm not trying to tell you to believe what I'm saying. I'm not telling you that I know I'm right. I'm human. Things change. There are beliefs that can be bestowed upon me. There's things that I can learn, and there's always things that I'm being taught. I try to remain teachable, because there's no reason to close my mind off to anything. At this point, I've learned that there's just so much more to this whole realm of reality that we live in that I couldn't even begin to truly understand any of it. Please continue to keep praying for each other. We need to look out for each other now more than ever. stand up and fight for other people if they need your help. Please try and help people. Don't be a bystander. Be there to help. Don't be one of those people that just records with their phone while somebody gets beat up or something horrible is happening where you could intervene. One person stands up that will lead other people to do the same thing. Please continue to pray. Let's make this world a better place. Let's fight these demons that think they're in charge. They're scared. They know the power that we have. I love you all. I appreciate you watching my videos. And as always, go in peace.